The wind howled through the empty streets of Enfield, Illinois, carrying with it an ominous chill that seemed to seep into the very bones of the small town. It was 1973, a year etched in the memories of the residents, for reasons beyond their comprehension. I was but a young man, full of curiosity and skepticism, until that fateful night when the Enfield monster invaded our quiet lives. The story began with Henry McDaniel, a man whose life was forever altered by a bizarre encounter in his own yard. It was a night like any other. Crickets chirped in the background, and the moon cast long shadows on the sleepy town. Little did I know that the events about to unfold would haunt my dreams for years to come. Henry McDaniel, a man of sturdy build and a reputation for honesty, claimed to have witnessed a creature beyond the realms of earthly understanding. As I sat in the dimly lit living room of my modest home, I listened to his account on the crackling radio. His voice trembled with a mixture of fear and disbelief as he recounted the chilling details. "It had 3 legs on it," he said, his words hanging in the air like a thick fog. "A short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights." The gravity of his words settled over the town like a dark cloud. The Enfield monster, as it came to be known, had entered our collective consciousness, casting a shadow over the once serene community. I, like many others, dismissed it as a product of an overactive imagination, or perhaps the result of a late-night bender. Days turned into nights, and the whispers about the Enfield monster became the topic of hushed conversations in every corner of the town. Skepticism clung to the air like a heavy mist, but an undercurrent of fear ran beneath the surface. It wasn't until the town plunged into darkness one fateful night that I began to question the nature of reality itself. The power outage struck without warning, plunging Enfield into an inky blackness that seemed to swallow the very essence of our existence. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the distant howling of the wind. In that darkness, I felt a presence, an otherworldly force that sent shivers down my spine. I ventured outside, armed with nothing but a feeble flashlight, the beam of which struggled to pierce the impenetrable darkness. As I navigated the unfamiliar terrain of my own neighborhood, a sense of foreboding settled over me. The air was thick with an indescribable energy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. It was then that I saw it, the creature that defied all reason and logic. A hunched figure with 3 legs, its short arms reaching out in unnatural angles. Its pink eyes glowed in the darkness, and for a moment, time stood still. Fear gripped me like a vice, rendering me incapable of movement. The creature let out a guttural sound that reverberated through the still night. And with a sudden burst of energy, it scurried into the shadows. I stood there, frozen in disbelief, my mind struggling to comprehend the surreal scene that had unfolded before me. The Enfield monster was no longer a tale whispered in hushed tones. It was a living nightmare that had materialized in the heart of our town. The following days were marked by a collective sense of unease that permeated every corner of Enfield. The power outage had been restored, but the darkness that had taken residence in our hearts lingered. Henry McDaniel's initial account was met with skepticism, but those who had witnessed the creature firsthand spoke in hushed tones, sharing stories that blurred the line between reality and nightmare. As the days turned into weeks, sightings of the Enfield monster multiplied. Residents reported strange scratches on their doors and windows, and peculiar footprints with 6 toes etched in the soil. Panic spread like wildfire, and the once tight-knit community unraveled at the seams. No one dared venture out after dark, for fear of crossing paths with the grotesque creature that had become the stuff of legend. The police, initially dismissive of the claims, found themselves overwhelmed by the growing hysteria. Desperation clung to the air as the town grappled with an inexplicable terror that defied rational explanation. I, too, became consumed by an insatiable curiosity that bordered on obsession. I needed to unravel the mysteries of the Enfield monster, to confront the darkness that had taken root in the very fabric of our existence. In my pursuit of the truth, I sought out others who had encountered the creature. Their stories, though varied in detail, shared a common thread, the unshakable certainty that the Enfield monster was not of this world. It became clear that we were dealing with a force beyond our understanding, a creature that transcended the boundaries of reality itself. Late one night, a group of us gathered in secret, drawn together by a shared determination to confront the enigma that had gripped our town. Armed with flashlights and a sense of trepidation, we ventured into the heart of the darkness that had become synonymous with the Enfield monster. The air was thick with anticipation, and our breath hung in the cold night air. As we navigated the labyrinthine streets, a sense of dread settled over the group. The once familiar surroundings had transformed into an alien landscape, and every shadow seemed to harbor unseen terrors. We pressed on, guided only by the collective belief that confronting the creature was the only way to lift the pall that had descended upon Enfield. Our journey led us to the outskirts of town, where the moon cast an ethereal glow over the desolate landscape. In the distance, we heard a sound, a low, guttural growl that sent shivers down our spines. As we approached, the source of the sound emerged from the shadows. The Enfield monster, its grotesque form illuminated by the cold moonlight. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as we faced the creature that defied all reason. Its 3 legs shuffled in an unnatural dance, and its eyes glowed with an intensity that seemed to pierce the very fabric of our souls. Fear hung in the air, tangible and suffocating. But we stood our ground, determined to unravel the mysteries that had plagued our town. In a moment of profound stillness, the creature spoke, not in words, but in a series of haunting images that flashed before our eyes. Visions of a distant realm, of cosmic forces beyond human comprehension, and of a timeless existence that transcended the boundaries of space and time. The Enfield monster was a harbinger of cosmic truths, a messenger from a reality that eluded the grasp of mortal minds. As the visions unfolded, a sense of understanding washed over us. The Enfield monster was not a malevolent force but a guardian, a cosmic entity tasked with preserving the delicate balance between worlds. It had chosen our town as a conduit, a bridge between the familiar and the unknown. The scratches on doors, the 6-toed footprints, they were but echoes of its cosmic presence. In that moment of revelation, the darkness that had gripped Enfield began to recede. The creature, its form shifting and pulsating, conveyed a message of both warning and reassurance. The balance between worlds was fragile, and our understanding of reality.
The oppressive heat of the Colombian sun bore down on me as I stood before the imposing structure of the Hotel del Salto. Its once grand facade was now weathered and worn, and the echoes of a dark history reverberated through the air. The hotel, perched on the edge of the abyss overlooking the Tequendama Falls, casts a haunting silhouette against the backdrop of the lush Colombian landscape. Little did I know that my decision to explore its shadowed halls would plunge me into a chilling tale of despair and lost souls. The journey to the hotel had been treacherous, winding through dense jungles and rugged terrain. My curiosity, fueled by the legend surrounding the Hotel del Salto, overpowered any apprehension I felt. The stories of a place steeped in tragedy, where the line between the living and the dead blurred, only served to heighten my anticipation. As I entered the dilapidated lobby, a musty odor hung in the air, a testament to the passage of time and neglect. The reception desk, once a hub of activity, now stood abandoned, covered in a thick layer of dust. Faded wallpaper peeled from the walls, revealing a history that begged to be forgotten. The ghostly silence of the hotel whispered tales of sorrow that seemed to cling to every crevice. Despite its abandonment, the hotel retained an eerie beauty, frozen in a time long past. The grand staircase, adorned with ornate railings, beckoned me to explore its mysteries. With each step, the air grew heavier, and a sense of foreboding settled over me. The once spectacular views of the Tequendama Falls now served as a haunting reminder of the tragedies that had unfolded within these walls. I delved deeper into the heart of the Hotel del Salto, guided only by the haunting echoes of the past. The rooms, now devoid of life, bore witness to the anguish that had permeated the hotel's very foundations. As I wandered through the deserted hallways, a soft whisper carried through the air, a lamentation of lost souls trapped between worlds. It was then that I stumbled upon a forgotten chamber, tucked away in the darkest recesses of the hotel. The door groaned open, revealing a room frozen in time. Faded photographs adorned the walls, capturing moments of joy and celebration that now seemed like distant memories. The room held a melancholic beauty, a stark contrast to the tales of tragedy that surrounded the Hotel del Salto. As I examined the photographs, a shiver ran down my spine. Faces of guests who had once reveled in the beauty of the falls stared back at me, their eyes filled with a haunting sadness. The legend spoke of those who had leaped to their deaths, unable to escape the grip of despair that clung to the hotel like a malevolent force. Night fell like a heavy curtain, casting the hotel into darkness. The moonlight filtered through the cracked windows, creating ethereal patterns on the decaying wallpaper. I continued my exploration, guided by an unseen force that seemed to pull me deeper into the heart of the hotel's tragic history. The grand ballroom, now a cavernous expanse of silence, bore witness to the final moments of those who had succumbed to the allure of the falls. The echoes of laughter and music lingered in the air, a spectral reminder of the vibrant gatherings that had once filled the space. I could almost envision the swirling dresses and the flickering candlelight, the revelry that had masked the silent cries of tormented souls. As I ventured further into the labyrinthine corridors, the temperature dropped, and a chilling breeze whispered through the abandoned hallways. The legend of the indigenous Muisca tribe, who had once leaped off the cliffs to escape Spanish colonizers, seemed to resonate in the very foundations of the hotel. The boundary between reality and myth blurred, and I felt a presence, a spectral energy that clung to the air like a shroud. The hotel, now a museum of despair, revealed its darkest secrets in the dead of night. Shadows danced along the walls, and the silence was broken only by the distant roar of the Tequendama Falls. It was then that I heard it, the faint sound of footsteps, as if someone, or something, walked the halls beside me. A sense of unease settled over me, and I quickened my pace, my footsteps echoing in the emptiness. The once familiar layout of the hotel now seemed like a labyrinth, a maze of haunted corridors that twisted and turned in on themselves. I felt the weight of unseen eyes upon me, and a cold sweat broke out on my brow. As I turned a corner, I found myself in front of a door adorned with faded engravings. The room beyond seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and a soft glow emanated from within. Hesitation gripped me, but an irresistible force urged me forward. The door creaked open, revealing a sight that would be etched into my nightmares for years to come. The room was a tableau of sorrow, a manifestation of the collective anguish that clung to the Hotel del Salto. Transparent figures moved in a macabre dance, their ethereal forms twisting and contorting in a never-ending cycle of despair. The air was heavy with the weight of unspoken sorrows, and the room seemed to reverberate with the echoes of lost souls. Among the spectral figures, I saw the faces of those who had leaped from the cliffs, their eyes vacant and haunted. They moved in silent agony, unable to escape the purgatory that bound them to the hotel. The indigenous spirits, forever trapped between the mortal realm and the afterlife, reached out as if pleading for release. A voice echoed through the chamber, a mournful melody that spoke of untold tragedies. It was a lamentation that transcended language, a symphony of sorrow that seemed to resonate from the very walls themselves. The Hotel del Salto, once a beacon of beauty, had become a mausoleum of lost dreams and shattered hopes. In the heart of the spectral gathering, I saw her, a woman with long, flowing hair, her eyes pools of darkness that reflected the depths of her despair. She moved towards me with a grace that defied the macabre scene surrounding her. It was as if time stood still, and the air crackled with an otherworldly energy. She reached out to me, her touch sending a chill through my soul. The room seemed to warp and twist, and I found myself standing on the edge of the cliffs overlooking the Tequendama Falls. The roar of the water filled my ears, and the wind carried the distant cries of the indigenous spirits who had leaped to escape a fate worse than death. The woman spoke, her voice a haunting whisper that seemed to echo from the depths of the abyss. "Witness the pain that binds us," she said, her eyes reflecting the eternal torment that consumed her. "For centuries, we have lingered in the shadows, unable to find peace. The Hotel del Salto is our purgatory, and those who enter its walls become entwined in the tapestry of our suffering." The vision shifted, and I found myself back in the haunted chamber, the spectral figures still locked in their eternal dance. The woman's gaze bore into mine, and in that moment, I felt a profound connection to the tormented souls that wandered the hotel's desolate halls. Driven by a compulsion I could not resist, I vowed to unravel the mysteries that bound the Hotel del Salto to its tragic past. Armed with a newfound understanding of the spectral energy that permeated the very foundations of the hotel, I delved into the history that had been concealed by layers of time and despair. I pored over forgotten archives and spoke to locals who whispered tales of the hotel's cursed legacy. A narrative of tragedy and betrayal emerged. The indigenous Muisca tribe, driven to the edge of the cliffs by Spanish colonizers, had chosen to leap into the abyss rather than face the shackles of oppression. The Hotel del Salto, designed by architect Carlos Arturo Tapias in 1923, was meant to be a symbol of luxury and sophistication. However, its proximity to the haunted cliffs carried with it a dark energy that transcended the architect's vision. Guests who marveled at the spectacular views were unknowingly drawn into a vortex of anguish that lingered in the very air they breathed. The tragedies that unfolded within the hotel's walls became a dark tapestry woven with threads of lost souls and unfulfilled destinies. The indigenous spirits, unable to find rest, merged with the anguish of those who had succumbed to the allure of the falls. The Hotel del Salto had become a nexus between the mortal realm and the afterlife, a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred into a chilling tapestry of despair. Armed with this knowledge, I embarked on a quest to break the cycle of suffering that bound the hotel and its spectral inhabitants. The desolate halls of the Hotel del Salto became my haunting ground, as I sought to communicate with the tormented spirits trapped within its decaying walls. Night after night, I conducted seances and rituals, invoking the spirits that lingered in the shadows. The air crackled with unseen forces, and the hotel seemed to respond to my presence. Whispers of gratitude and anguish echoed through the darkness, as if the spirits yearned for release from the purgatory that had ensnared them for centuries. In the heart of the haunted ballroom, I confronted the woman with flowing hair who had reached out to me in the spectral vision. Her eyes, once pools of darkness, now held a glimmer of hope. The tapestry of despair began to unravel, and the spectral figures moved with a newfound sense of liberation. As dawn broke over the Tequendama Falls, a profound stillness settled over the Hotel del Salto. The oppressive energy that had clung to its decaying walls began to dissipate, replaced by a serenity that transcended the horrors of the past. The indigenous spirits, finally free from the shackles of oppression, ascended into the ethereal realm, their cries of anguish replaced by a celestial harmony. The Hotel del Salto, once a symbol of tragedy and despair, stood transformed. The air was no longer heavy with the weight of lost souls, and the once echoing footsteps had faded into the realm of memory. The grand ballroom, once a stage for the macabre dance of tormented spirits, now lay bathed in the soft glow of morning light. As I stepped out into the Colombian sun, the Tequendama Falls roared in the distance, a testament to the eternal cycle of nature. The Hotel del Salto, now freed from the specter of its haunted past, stood as a monument to the resilience of the human spirit. The legends that had once shrouded it in darkness were replaced by a newfound understanding, a tale of redemption and release that echoed through the lush jungles and rugged terrain of Colombia. It started innocently enough, as most sinister tales do. A Christmas gift, wrapped in festive paper, adorned with the image of Disney's Frozen. A Elsa doll, with icy blue eyes that seemed to follow your every move. Little did we know that beneath the plastic facade of a beloved children's toy lurked a malevolent force that would disturb the peace of our home. The doll entered our lives in 2013, a Christmas present from a well-meaning relative. It was the kind of gift that brought smiles to the faces of our children, an Elsa doll that sang the enchanting tune of Let It Go. The melody filled the air with a sense of whimsy and magic, or so we thought. As the years passed, the novelty of the doll faded. It took its place among the myriad of forgotten toys, tucked away in the corner of the children's playroom. However, it wasn't long before the doll's eerie transformation began to unfold. In December 2019, we made the unsettling decision to discard the Elsa doll. Its haunting blue eyes seemed to pierce through the trash bag as we disposed of it, a fleeting moment of discomfort that we brushed aside. Little did we know, this would be the beginning of a nightmare that defied all logic. Weeks later, as winter tightened its grip on our Houston home, we discovered the Elsa doll inside a bench in our living room. The children, innocent in their astonishment, insisted they had no hand in its return. A sense of unease settled over us as we grappled with the inexplicable reappearance of the once discarded doll. That I could feel a chill running down my spine as I observed the lifeless eyes of the Elsa doll. It no longer sang the familiar tune in English. Instead, when pressed, it uttered haunting phrases in Spanish, a language foreign to the programming it had initially possessed. The doll seemed to have taken on a life of its own, its plastic lips moving with an eerie synchronicity to the disembodied Spanish words. Determined to rid ourselves of the unsettling presence, we took drastic measures. The doll, double-bagged and sealed within layers of plastic, was placed at the bottom of our garbage. We hoped that the trash collectors would carry it away, and with it, the inexplicable haunting that had invaded our home. The days passed, and we embarked on a family trip, seeking solace from the unsettling events that had transpired. Upon our return, however, a sinister sight awaited us. There, in the backyard of our home, beneath the pale moonlight, stood Elsa, the haunted doll that had defied all attempts at disposal. Questions echoed through our minds. How had it returned? Why did it persist in haunting our lives? The doll stood there, a silent sentinel of malevolence, as if mocking our feeble attempts to escape its grasp. Its plastic gaze seemed to hold a dark secret, a secret that whispered of an unnatural force at play. In a desperate bid to sever the haunting connection, we decided to send Elsa away. A family friend in Minnesota, unaware of the doll's ominous history, agreed to take it in. The doll was mailed, encased in a box that seemed to groan with the weight of an otherworldly presence. Our friend, unaware of the sinister nature of the gift, taped the haunted doll to the front bumper of his truck. It was a feeble attempt to distance ourselves from the malevolent force that had taken residence in our lives. Little did we know that this would be the beginning of a journey that defied the boundaries of reason. Weeks turned into months, and with each passing day, we hoped that the cursed doll would fade into obscurity. Yet, the story took an unexpected turn. Elsa, with an eerie resilience, seemed to resist the distance imposed upon it. As per our friend's latest update in February, the doll had not made its way back to Houston. However, the ominous implication lingered, that the haunted doll had not given up its pursuit. The inexplicable events surrounding the Elsa doll left our family grappling with a reality that defied all logical explanations. The once beloved children's toy had become a harbinger of unease, a conduit for a malevolent force that defied the boundaries of the tangible world. As I pen down this account, I can't shake the feeling that Elsa, with her haunting gaze and Spanish whispers, lingers just beyond the periphery of our understanding. The doll, once a symbol of innocence, has transformed into a malevolent entity that defies all escape attempts. The plastic facade hides a secret, a dark force that has intertwined itself with the very fabric of our lives. The tale of the haunted Elsa doll serves as a chilling reminder that even the most innocent objects can become vessels for the supernatural, and that some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved, lurking in the shadows of the inexplicable. The late 70s and early 80s were a turbulent time for a single mother like me, trying to navigate the challenges of raising a toddler while balancing the demands of a full-time job. My name is Dorothy Jane Scott, and my life took a harrowing turn that I would never have anticipated, plunging me into the depths of a chilling mystery that continues to haunt the darkest corners of my memory. It all began with the ringing of the telephone, a seemingly innocuous act that would unleash a nightmare that defied reason. The call started around 1980, the voice on the other end alternately declaring love for me and uttering threats that sent shivers down my spine. As a single mother working tirelessly to provide for my young son, the last thing I needed was the torment of a relentless stalker. The voice was ominous, its tones echoing with an eerie familiarity that I couldn't quite place. At first, I dismissed it as a cruel prank, the twisted machinations of a disturbed mind seeking to sow seeds of fear. But as the calls persisted, their frequency and intensity escalating, I could no longer ignore the sinister undercurrent that had infiltrated my life. One night, the stalker's instructions took a more tangible form. With a chilling calmness, he directed me to look outside. As I approached my car, parked under the veil of darkness, my heart pounded in my chest. There, on the windshield, lay a single withered rose. A macabre symbol of affection tainted by menace. Fear clung to me like a shadow, but I remained steadfast, determined not to let the anonymous caller disrupt the fragile balance I had established for my son and me. Little did I know that the true horror was yet to unfold. The calls persisted, a haunting soundtrack to my daily existence. My routine became a precarious dance between moments of normalcy and the ever-looming presence of the unseen menace. I confided in friends and co-workers, seeking solace and reassurance, but the identity of the caller remained shrouded in mystery. Then came the fateful day that would forever alter the course of my life. At a routine staff meeting, my attention was drawn to the pale, haggard face of one of my co-workers. Concern etched across my features, I suggested we take him to the hospital for medical attention. Little did I know that this act of compassion would propel me further into the clutches of the unknown. Together with another coworker, we accompanied the ailing man to a nearby hospital. As they waited for his prescription to be filled, I stepped outside into the cold night, the chilly air biting at my skin. It was a decision that would unravel the threads of normalcy and plunge me into a dark abyss. Outside, I waited in the parking lot, the oppressive silence broken only by the distant hum of the hospital machinery. Minutes turned into an agonizing eternity as I stood there, my breath visible in the frigid air. But I was never seen again by those waiting inside. They searched for me, growing increasingly uneasy, suspecting a problem had arisen. Their eyes scanned the parking lot, and their concern deepened when they spotted my car hastily speeding away. Panic set in, and the realization that something had gone horribly wrong sent shockwaves through their beings. But where was I? What had befallen me in the span of those few minutes? Neither my son nor anyone else ever saw or heard from me again. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, with no trace of my whereabouts. The unanswered questions lingered like a haunting melody, a dirge that echoed through the corridors of uncertainty. It wasn't until 4 long years later that the mystery took a macabre turn. My burned remains were discovered at a construction site, an unceremonious and gruesome end to a life that had once held promise and hope. The ashes of my existence lay scattered, the truth of my fate buried beneath layers of enigma, but the horror didn't end there. The discovery of a collection of dog bones next to my charred remains added a perplexing layer to an already confounding case. What connection did these bones have to my tragic end? Was there a macabre ritual at play, Or was the truth even more sinister than the imagination dared to fathom? The investigation that followed yielded no answers, no closure to the gaping wound left by my inexplicable disappearance and brutal demise. The case remained unsolved, a specter haunting the files of law enforcement, forever etched in the annals of unresolved mysteries. The voice on the other end of the phone, the malevolent whisper that had tormented me for so long, remained elusive. The identity of my tormentor, the orchestrator of my descent into darkness, continued to elude the grasp of justice. The caller, with his alternating proclamations of love and threats of physical harm, had vanished into the shadows, leaving behind only the chilling echo of his sinister presence. As the years passed, the enigma of my fate became a chilling legend whispered among those who dared to tread in the realm of unsolved mysteries. The single withered rose, the ominous phone calls, the inexplicable disappearance, all merged into a tapestry of horror that defied rational understanding. That my story remains a cautionary tale, a testament to the fragility of normalcy and the lurking malevolence that can emerge from the shadows of anonymity. The questions surrounding my demise, the unanswered calls in the dark, continue to reverberate through the corridors of time, a haunting reminder that some mysteries are destined to remain entangled in the web of the unknown.